Okay. Good morning, everyone. First off, sound okay for those? Okay, very good. My name's Joe Bisk. I'm the Secret Service. I'm with the Secret Service's Office of Communications and Media Relations. You won't need to quote me, but if you need, my name is Joe, and then the last name is B as in boy, I-E-S-K. We're all here today to provide information on the security plan for the 2024 Democratic National Convention. Our goal is to provide you with as much information as quickly as possible and get that to the citizens of Chicago and those who are visiting the city during the DNC. There's a lot of people here today from the media, so we'll have some time for questions and answer afterward. If we don't have time to get to everyone, we'll be around after to answer some of your questions, and you can also send them to dncmedia@cityofchicago.com. And many of you also have my email. After the press conference, we'll be sending out a release along with the maps. And so before we bring in today's speakers, I'm going to go over just some ground rules and then the agenda for who will be speaking today. So you'll hear remarks first from Deputy Special Agent in Charge Derek Meyer. It's pronounced Meyer. It's spelled M-A-Y-E-R. Derek is D-E-R-E-K. And he's the Deputy Special Agent in charge of the Chicago Field Office for the Secret Service. Then you'll have Governor J.B. Pritzker, J.B., P-R-I-T-Z-K-E-R, followed by Mayor Brandon Johnson, Brandon, B-R-A-N-D-O-N, Johnson, J-O-H-N-S-O-N. I know you all know this, but Superintendent Larry Snelling will follow the mayor. That's L-A-R-R-Y-S-N-E-L-L-I-N-G. And then 2024 DNC Coordinator Jeff Burnside, who is leading this for the Secret Service. He will then come up, go through the maps, explain where the perimeters are, and what some of those ramifications will be for the surrounding area. So he'll give a comprehensive review. Followed by that, we'll have Acting FBI Special Agent in Charge Lucas Rothar, Lucas L-U-C-A-S, Rothar R-O-T-H-A-A-R. And then lastly, it'll be Chicago Office of Emergency Management and Communications Executive Director Jose Tirado, Jose J-O-S-E, Tirado T-I-R-A-D-O. Following the remarks, like I said, we'll have a brief Q&A. We have a hard stop at 12:30, so given the number of all you here today, we're not going to have time to go into off-topic questions. If you do, we have a number of public affairs folks in the room today that we can answer your questions afterward. And then we ask that we'll call on you for questions. So if we call on you, you ask a question and a follow-up, and please lead with your name and outlet. And then, like I said, any questions that don't get answered today, please send them to the appropriate agency or office. So with that, we'll bring in the speakers. Oh, I'm sorry. One last thing I wanted to mention. This is a national special security event for those who don't know. So this is designated by the Department of Homeland Security, and this will be the 79th NSSE since their inception. And the Chicago Field Office was in charge of both the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee last week, as well as the DNC. So now with that, we'll bring in the speakers. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Derek Meyer, and I am the Deputy Special Agent in charge of the Secret Service's Chicago Field Office. I must begin by saying the assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump on July 13th was a terrible day for our entire nation. The investigation into this incident is being handled in Washington, D.C. The Secret Service remains dedicated to transparency and is working diligently to seek answers. An incident like what took place in Butler, Pennsylvania, must never happen again. I have been working in the Chicago field office for the past 6 years. This is my home, and I am eager for the 2024 Democratic National Convention to come to this city. The Secret Service has been working diligently over the past year with our local, state, and federal partners to develop a security plan for the convention. We are here to unveil the security perimeter for the 2024 DNC, which will take place at the United Center, McCormick Place, and other venues throughout the city. The events run from August 19th through August 22nd. The convention has been designated a National Special Security event, which brings with it a full complement of resources from the federal government. These NSSEs also rely heavily on partnership. Many of those on our team are here today, including Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling, U.S. Secret Service DNC Coordinator Jeffrey Burnside, FBI Acting Special Agent in Charge Lucas Rothar, and Jose Tirado, the Executive Director of the Chicago Office of Emergency Management and Communications. We also have representatives from other key agencies on hand to answer your questions. The perimeter maps you will soon see were carefully crafted with input from our public safety partners, community groups, local businesses, traffic and transportation experts. The Secret Service has also been working closely with our counterparts in the Department of Homeland Security and at the White House since the incident took place on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. We have reviewed the security plan for the DNC and remain confident. Our plan allows us to adjust for any possible scenario. Earlier this month, the Secret Service coordinated security for the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee and the NATO Summit in Washington, D.C. These events were conducted in a secure environment, and we expect similar results in Chicago. This is a city that regularly works together to host large-scale events such as the NASCAR race, Lollapalooza, and Taste of Chicago. The Chicago Police Department plays a pivotal role in the success of these events, and Superintendent Snelling has been a tremendous partner. The superintendent is among 17 public safety entities, including the U.S. Secret Service, participating in the Executive Steering Committee. This committee oversaw the development of the DNC Operational Security Plan, relying on subcommittee staff with experts on various topics, including national intelligence, consequence management, maritime security, airspace security, traffic control, and more. The DNC plan has subsequently been tested and reinforced through multiple interagency exercises over the past 4 months, including 5 tabletop exercises and numerous field training operations. These run-throughs allow our law enforcement partners to evaluate the security plans throughout various scenarios. We will host a final training exercise just days before the official arrival of the first delegates. These exercises, previous experiences with large-scale events, and extensive planning all contribute to a level of confidence ahead of the convention. Our preparation includes detailed procedures for planned and pop-up demonstrations. I want everyone to know that the Secret Service and our public safety partners respect every American's First Amendment rights. The superintendent has assured that CPD is well equipped to manage protests, and plans are in place to keep those gatherings safe. The shared goal is for everyone to express their views lawfully while ensuring a secure environment for delegates, convention attendees, and the general public. We are also intentional about creating a plan that minimizes disruptions to the community as much as possible. We know that security for an event of this size will have an impact. To that end, the Secret Service and our partners have conducted dozens of outreach events with businesses, residences, and community groups. The objective is to effectively communicate our plan and mitigate confusion to the greatest extent possible. This effort has reached more than 900 members of the public, representing more than 500 organizations and businesses throughout the Chicago area. We will continue to reach out to the community in the days ahead, including sharing the perimeter maps through a community canvassing effort tomorrow around the United Center. The cooperation, dedication, and genuine desire to ensure a safe and successful convention has been remarkable. Everyone remains focused on implementing a seamless security plan. Again, I want to thank our partners for the work they have already done and the steadfast commitment to maintaining a secure environment for all involved once the DNC kicks off. Our primary focus is safety, and I know Chicago is ready to host the convention. I would now like to introduce Illinois Governor J.P. Pritzker.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Derek. Well, thank you very much, Derek, and thank you all for joining us today. It really is my honor to be here alongside the people who are making this historic Democratic National Convention possible. I want to first thank Jeff Burnside and the entire United States Secret Service for their tireless work to keep Chicago and all of us attending the DNC safe. Your professionalism, truly, and your sacrifices make us proud. In less than a month, thousands will gather here in Chicago to make their voices heard by participating in the convention. The eyes of the world will be on our great city, and safety and security have remained our top priorities. It is thanks to the tireless efforts and coordination of the agencies that are represented in this room from all levels of government that convention goers and residents alike can participate and spectate to the fullest extent without fear for their safety. I want to acknowledge some of the great local and state leaders and agencies who have sacrificed nights and weekends in pursuit of that effort. The staff and representatives from the mayor's office and the city of Chicago, the Chicago Fire Department, led by Commissioner Annette Nance Holt, Chicago Police Department, led by Superintendent Larry Snelling, and the Chicago Office of Emergency Management and Communications, led by Director Jose Tirado. Illinois Emergency Management Agency and Office of Homeland Security, led by Director Alicia Tate-Nadeau. The Illinois National Guard, led by Major General Rodney Boyd. The Illinois State Police, led by Director Brendan Kelly. Illinois Department of Transportation, led by Secretary Omar Osman, and dozens of other state agencies. We all should take great comfort in having such a sizable and hardworking and skilled force dedicated solely to our safety and security, mapping out truly every detail and logistic at convention sites across the city. And with these comprehensive public safety plans and security measures, we should sleep soundly knowing how much preparation has been done. I also want to stress our commitment to transparency and information sharing throughout this process. It will be absolutely vital for our collective safety and security, for the minimal disruption to residents' daily lives, and for the smooth flow of the convention, that we keep the public informed and vigilant. I encourage all residents and convention goers to pay close attention to public announcements and posted signage to ensure that they are prepared. What will take place next month is a beautiful display of American democracy in action. Here in Chicago, millions will watch. Tens of thousands visiting from around the globe and around the United States will witness a triumph of political expression and engagement, doing so without fear for their safety. That is a testament to our democratic culture. But more importantly, it is thanks to the hard work and sacrifice of the folks you see standing up here today. I also want to thank each and every one of you in the audience who are engaged in this endeavor for your service. We all owe you a sincere debt of gratitude. To those visiting us next month, enjoy our terrific global city of Chicago. And with that, I'm pleased to turn this podium over to our partner and friend, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Mayor?
Thank you, Governor. You bet. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Governor Pritzker. Is it morning still? Is it? Okay. Thank you all for joining us today. The state of Illinois has been an incredible partner, Governor Pritzker, throughout this entire endeavor. Of course, we do appreciate the work of U.S. Secret Service, the FBI, the DNCC, as well as the DNC Host Committee, all of the city departments, sister agencies who remain hard at work preparing Chicago for the 2024 Democratic National Convention. Thank you for your leadership and cooperation over the past year to ensure that we are ready to host the best national convention yet. And let me state this unequivocally. Chicago is ready. We were born ready. And I'm not just talking about the convention itself. So much has changed from our first announcement regarding the DNC to now. Now Chicago is not just hosting another convention. We are welcoming a new breath of life into our nation with the historic nomination of Vice President Kamala Harris. Though this is our city's 26th time hosting a national convention, this moment is like no other. Chicago has already cemented itself in history for electing trailblazers to the highest office in the land. And as we prepare for the first black woman to win the Democratic nomination for president of these United States, there is no better place to host this national convention than right here in the city of Chicago. We are no stranger to hosting large-scale events. Chicago hosted NATO in 2012, NASCAR for the second year in a row, and hundreds of conventions each year. We have a proven track record as a host city. Our past experiences and expertise hosting events have given us great lessons in preparation for the 2024 DNC. In a few moments, our federal partners and public safety agency leaders will describe the safety plans in place to safeguard residents, visitors, delegates, protesters, and everyone else in between. Meanwhile, our city departments have been working hard to showcase this beautiful city. This is an all hands on deck, and it's a citywide effort. The Department of Streets and Sanitation continues to do its work, trimming trees, cleaning up public spaces, sidewalks, beautifying our neighborhoods from the north side to the south side, ensuring that they are ready to be on the global stage. The Park District is keeping our green space clean and clear, and the Department of Transportation has added accessibility improvements, it's repaired sidewalks, and repaved streets. They are also painting light poles and planting flowers to further beautify our city. So in other words, the men and women who staff our departments are continuing to do the things that they do every single day serving the city of Chicago. And after it was announced that Chicago would be hosting the 2024 DNC, I was clear that in our preparation, we must invest in legacy projects that will uplift our residents and serve our community long after the convention. A great example is the construction of the $80 million CTA Damon and Lake Green Line station. This station fills a gap between existing stations on the Green Line to provide transit access to those living and working near Kinsey Street corridor. This will greatly benefit the West Side neighborhoods, and of course, all of those who will be visiting the United Center. And through all of this work, our commitment is clear. We will secure a safe and vibrant Democratic National Convention and continue to serve the residents who rely on our city department's dedicated service each and every day. To those preparing to visit us, we look forward to you experiencing what I call the soul of Chicago. From our diverse cultural experiences to our world-class dining, breathtaking views of our lake and skyline, and the amazing people that make up the 77 diverse communities. There is no way to experience all of Chicago in one trip. So go ahead and just put your money away so that you can come back and visit us in the fall and next summer. And with our preparation in place, I'm confident that the 2024 DNC will be a safe and successful convention. And most importantly, finally, this will be a peaceful and unified expression of our sacred democratic process. Whether you want to exercise your First Amendment, visit the convention, or just simply continue to live and work in Chicago like you normally do, you will be protected and served throughout this convention. In just 23 days, Chicago will showcase our great spirit, the vibrant neighborhoods, the readiness to usher in our nation's bright future. And thanks to all of our partners from the city and beyond who are making this moment possible. I look forward to our continued collaboration in the final days and throughout this convention. And so let's make sure that we are geared up for the people across the globe who will get a chance to experience our democracy. So thank you all again, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Chicago Police Department Superintendent, Superintendent Larry Snelly.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First, I'd like to thank our partners at the Secret Service for hosting this. I also want to thank Mayor Johnson, Governor Pritzker, all of our public safety, law enforcement partners who are here with us today. I'd also like to thank, because we can't leave out two key components that we partner with on a daily basis as the Chicago Police Department. First of all, Director Annette Lance Holt of the Fire Department. The partnership has been great. Commissioner, I'm sorry. And I'll pay for that later. I'll do some push-ups. And also Director Torado of OEMC. The partnership has just been great, but the partnership with OEMC and the Fire Department has been excellent throughout the years. There are a lot of things that we as the Chicago Police Department could not do without them, so I'd like to thank them. I also have to thank my team here. I can't say enough about the incredible work that they're doing. Chief Dwayne DeVries, Deputy Chief Chris Papayuano, say that 3 times fast, and Deputy Chief Jill Stevens. They've just done such a great job of working with our federal partners. So I just want to start out by saying this. Our partnership with the Secret Service is strong. Ever since we started this process a year ago, we have had a great partnership, great communication, great collaboration. Without that communication and collaboration, we could not be where we are right now in the planning for the DNC. The partnership between Chicago Police Department, Secret Service, as well as federal, state, municipal agencies has been outstanding, because what we're looking for is a safe and successful DNC, and we'll continue the partnership throughout and for many years to come. For more than a year, we've been working together to make this a successful event. It has to be safe in order for it to be successful. We started training over a year ago. When we look at our partners and the information that we gather from our partners, the intelligence that we gather from our partners, the intelligence that we discover ourselves, we plan around those things. We're flexible, we're fluid. And as things change, we're able to adapt, assess those situations, and make necessary changes if those changes are necessary. I don't want anybody to believe that we think that we have to make changes. We do not at this point, but we are prepared to move with the flow of intelligence that we gather. We also look at best practices. So as we assess, as we move forward, we will continue to do what is absolutely necessary to keep the city safe. So our training, since this started, Commander Ralph Cruz, I cannot say enough about him. He's headed up the training. He was also my partner during the NATO event. We headed up the training for that event. We also had the first responding teams in the field when we went out. So I have all the confidence in the world that there's experience here in dealing with these types of events. Also, my team that you see here to my right, they were also a part of the NATO event. So that experience is ongoing. We've taken some of that experience, the experiences and the best practices there. We've looked at areas where we could improve, and we've improved upon those things. All of our training is rooted in the First and Fourth Amendments. It is important that our officers understand the First Amendment and the protection of First Amendment activity. The Chicago Police Department will not only allow everyone who comes here to express their First Amendment rights, but we will also protect their rights while they're doing it. We will protect them. It is important to understand that our job is to uphold the Constitution, and that is exactly what we're going to do. What we will not tolerate is vandalism to our city. What we will not tolerate is violent activity. If we see that, we will put an end to it quickly. Our officers have been dealing with protests since last year. Over 80 events that have occurred throughout this city. And I'm proud to say that our officers have responded very well. We have not seen any major incidents when our officers are engaging with those who are out protesting. We're in constant communication with our protest groups. We will continue to communicate with those groups because it's absolutely necessary for us to have an understanding of what it is that they expect from us and what we expect from them. So we've laid out clear plans on those expectations. So I want to be clear that this is not just about the Democratic National Convention. The Chicago Police Department has an obligation to the entire city of Chicago. Every single neighborhood we will be protecting. And we're looking at our manpower, we're looking at our allocations, and we want to make sure, and we will make sure that the neighborhoods who need us the most, we will be there for those neighborhoods. We will be there for the entire city of Chicago. So I don't want anyone to walk away from here believing that this safety plan is just about the DNC. It's about our city. Because we can't have a successful Democratic National Convention if we're not protecting the entire city as a whole, and we will continue to do that. Lastly, I'd like to thank everyone who's been a part of the planning for the Democratic National Convention. I want to thank in advance our citizens of Chicago who, at times, especially through a lot of these events, have had to deal with traffic, rerouting their days, finding alternative ways to get to and from to work, and their patience around all of these events. And we imagine that that's going to happen again during the DNC. That patience is what helps us keep the city safe. We're going to do every single thing that we can to make sure that this Democratic National Convention is safe and successful. We actually went out and visited the RNC just to see what was going on there, to see if there's something that we could take away to bring back here. We will be getting out information as it comes in, and if anything changes that we know the public needs to hear, we will make sure that we communicate those things out. So thank you to everyone who's been a part of this planning, and we appreciate your cooperation in all of it. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the Secret Service DNC Coordinator, Jeff Burnside.
Thank you, Superintendent Snelling. My name is Jeff Burnside, and I'm the Secret Service Coordinator for the 2024 Democratic National Convention, which has been designated as a national special security event. For more than a year, the U.S. Secret Service, along with our team here in Chicago, has been working with the Chicago Police Department and our other local, federal, and state partners to develop a security plan that will provide a safe and secure environment for not only those attending the convention, but the residents and guests of the city of Chicago. The purpose of today's briefing is to provide an overview of the security measures that will be in place here in Chicago during the convention. I'll begin with an overview of expected street impacts and then move into a brief review of the security impact maps. Both the maps and a detailed list of street impacts will be released following this press conference and available to the public on the Chicago Office of Emergency Management and Communications website, chicago.gov/OEMC. For the street impacts, there will be temporary street closures that will begin near the United Center at approximately 7 p.m. on August 17th and remain in place throughout the duration of the convention and into the early morning hours of August 23rd. Temporary street closures will begin around the McCormick Place on August 16th at approximately 10 p.m. and again remain in place until the conclusion of events there. Prior to the security restrictions being in place, the public may notice security barriers and fencing being installed in these areas. Lane disruptions and some limited sidewalk impacts may occur during this time, and we ask the citizens for their patience and their grace while we work to ensure their safety. The public should also expect parking restrictions within these areas that will be posted in advance. And again, a complete list of the street closures and parking restrictions will be available online at chicago.gov/OEMC. I'll now move to a quick review of the security impact maps. And as a reminder, these maps will also be available online on the OEMC website. So, referencing the maps, the areas that you see shaded in yellow are vehicle screening areas. So within these areas, pedestrians are allowed to freely move about just as they would in any normal day. These areas are not bound by fences, but rather just a series of street closures. However, vehicles entering this area will be subject to screening. They must enter the area through a vehicle checkpoint where they will briefly be screened by law enforcement. Bicycles are permitted in the vehicle screening area and are not required to go through a screening checkpoint. Near McCormick Place, ride shares, taxis, hot food delivery will be available in the vehicle screening perimeter. Those vehicles will need to go through one of our checkpoints indicated on the map, and so there may be some delays. We'll now move to the red shaded areas on the map, which is our pedestrian restricted area, or what we also refer to as the inner perimeter. At the United Center, access to the pedestrian restricted perimeter is restricted to those that are credentialed individuals and have a need to be there, such as convention attendees, staff, workers, volunteers, and public safety. Individuals will need to enter through a pedestrian checkpoint and be screened in order to enter the pedestrian restricted perimeter. Personal vehicles will not be allowed to enter the pedestrian restricted perimeter. Bicycles, scooters, golf carts will also be restricted in this area and not permitted. Residents of the Henry Horner homes will be able to access their homes, and their entry instructions will be communicated directly to them during our canvassing efforts, as well as through efforts by the Chicago Housing Authority. People will be able to access businesses within the outer perimeter or vehicle restricted area. All businesses within the pedestrian restricted area have been reserved for exclusive use by convention attendees and volunteers. Ride shares, taxis, and hot food deliveries will not be permitted within the pedestrian restricted area. Chicago Transit Authority buses will operate normally during their normal hours of service. However, routes within the vehicle exclusion zone will be impacted by the security restrictions that are in place. Riders are asked to expect delays and budget a little extra time for travel. We've been working very closely with CTA, and they will publish information and get it out to the public on alternate bus stops and that type of information. Deliveries, trash service, mail, the all-important Amazon deliveries, they will continue as normal. Those vehicles will be screened prior to entering the vehicle screening area. And so there might be some shifting of normal delivery times. And again, we ask for businesses and residents' patience as we work through that process. All deliveries that are entering the Secret Service perimeter must go through our commercial vehicle screening location, and that location has been communicated to the businesses and delivery companies that would be impacted. The commercial vehicle screening location will be open when our perimeters go into place, and it will remain open throughout the duration of the National Special Security event. Some delays could result as a result of these increased security measures. While security for an event of this size and scope will have an impact on city residents, the goal of the Secret Service and our partners is to provide the most secure environment while minimizing the daily disruptions to the city. In the event of an emergency, the Chicago Office of Emergency Management and Communications app will be used to notify those in the area of a critical situation. We will continue to update the public on any potential changes to the security measures, and residents are encouraged to follow the Chicago Office of Emergency Management and Communication on social media and visit the city's website, again, at chicago.gov/OEMC. There they will find all of the information that they need on the full impacts of our security measures. And in closing, I'd just like to thank all of our partners in the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, all of our federal partners. This has truly been a collaborative effort. As the superintendent said, we've been working in close coordination for well over a year. And it has truly been the honor of my career to have this assignment and to work with our tremendous partners here in the city of Chicago. Now I'd like to introduce the acting special agent in charge of the FBI's Chicago field office, Lucas Rothar.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Lucas Rothar, the acting special agent in charge of the Chicago division of the FBI. Upon the designation of a national special security event, the FBI is tasked with being the lead coordinator for intelligence relating to that event. For over the past year, the men and women of the FBI, along with our partners in law enforcement, have worked diligently to evaluate and assess all information and intelligence related to this event. And we've taken appropriate actions, and we shared that information with our law enforcement partners at the local, state, and federal levels. At this time, there are no known articulable threats to the DNC. However, as FBI Director Christopher Wray just mentioned yesterday in his testimony to Congress, we are living in an elevated threat environment. We do acknowledge the vast threats that we face as a nation, running from violent crime to international terrorism, domestic terrorism, and hate crimes, along with a host of other threats. The FBI remains steadfast in its commitment to meeting these challenges to protect the American public while upholding the Constitution. We pride ourselves on our ability to pivot to address new threats to safeguard this nation and our communities. That has not, and it will not change. We're always adapting, we're always learning, and we're always adjusting our approach as we receive new information. And we will continue to do that throughout the DNC. The FBI is committed to devoting all resources as needed to combat any threats should they arise. Our special agents, intelligence analysts, and professional staff are prepared for this mission. We have a host of teams from across the country throughout the entire FBI that will assist us with these tasks. These personnel range from our hostage rescue team, our SWAT teams, our lab division, victim assistance, language specialists, along with a host of other people to help us accomplish these missions. However, one of the FBI's greatest strengths is our multi-agency approach to sharing of information. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of our local, state, and federal partners, many of here who are here today with us. We endeavor in this work through these partnerships on an everyday basis. Some are through formalized relationships, such as our Joint Terrorism Task Force and our Violent Crime Task Force. Others are through less formalized. However, the result is the same. These partnerships are the key in the sharing of that intelligence in order to disrupt bad actors before they strike. And we're going to continue to rely on this process throughout the DNC and onwards and afterwards to ensure the protection of our communities. However, in order to do this most effectively, we do ask for a partnership with the public. We need that information from the public to help us do our jobs in the most effective, efficient manner possible. We often use the term of, if you see something, say something. I'd like to break that down for you. That is the key to our partnership. The public is a key partnership in disrupting all the threats that we endeavor to fight within the FBI and all of law enforcement. Every year, the FBI fields tens of thousands of tips from the public. Those tips can often make what makes a difference in preventing a crisis. All tips received are reviewed, evaluated, and prioritized for additional action. Again, these tips from the public help us to identify threats before they become a crisis. So what should people report to us? There is no such thing as something too insignificant to report. I would encourage everybody, if you see something suspicious, if something you feel is threatening, whether it's an online threat or comment, or it's whether you see something in person, please report it to law enforcement. If it's an emergency, an immediate threat to life, you should call 911. For any other reports that you'd like to make, any appropriate law enforcement agency will take that tip and we will share it amongst ourselves. If you'd like to submit a tip to the FBI, the public can call 1-800-CALL-FBI, or tips can be submitted online at tips.fbi.gov. Again, I thank the public for their cooperation in helping us endeavor to make this a safe event for all of our communities going forward, and again, for well into the future. And again, I want to stress the extreme appreciation that the FBI has for the Secret Service, the Chicago Police Department, and all of our local law enforcement and state law enforcement and federal law enforcement partners. With that, I will turn it over to the Executive Director of the OAMC, Mr. Jose Tirado.
Good afternoon. My name is Jose Tirado, and I am the Executive Director of the Office of Emergency Management and Communications for the City of Chicago. OAMC is coordinating public safety efforts for the DNC and around the United Center, McCormick Place, and throughout the rest of the city. Our number one priority is public safety. Throughout the past year, OAMC has been coordinating security and safety planning with the Secret Service, the Chicago Police Department, the Chicago Fire Department, city agencies, as well as other partners and convention organizers to ensure the safety of all residents, visitors, and convention attendees. We have plans in place to handle the additional crowds and increased traffic citywide. The largest impacts will be felt around the United Center, McCormick Place, specifically due to street closures, parking restrictions, and added security measures. Businesses and homes will be accessible within those perimeters. Before heading out, please remember to plan ahead, allow extra travel time, consider alternate routes, and use public transportation if possible. OAMC, alongside other city departments and federal agencies, will continue to canvass the impacted areas to engage with residents and businesses to answer any of their questions. This includes the areas around the United Center, McCormick Place, the Central Business District, the West Loop, and the South Loop. OMC's website is chicago.gov/OMC. It contains information related to public safety, street closures, traffic reroutes, parking restrictions, emergency notifications, and much more. Throughout the convention, OMC will be pushing out important notifications. In addition to Notify Chicago and ShyBiz alerts, we have developed a dedicated text alert for the convention for DNC 2024. In order to opt in, you can text DNC to the following number, 226-787-226-787. And I'll say that again. In order to opt in for the DNC 2024 text alert, type in DNC to the following number, 226-787. The best way to receive all information is to download the Chicago OMC app, as you've already heard from everyone who's been working with us. I could tell everyone right now I would download that app immediately. Additionally, to enhance our monitoring of citywide events, OMC will also be activating the City Emergency Operations Center, staffed by local, state, and federal partners. While we make every effort on behalf of the city to keep residents and visitors safe, we remind everyone that they also have a role to play in our community. We encourage the public to please report any suspicious activity by calling 911. Simply said, if you see something, say something. And I'll say that again. If you see something, say something. Do not hesitate to call 911. We look forward to ensuring a safe convention for all and for the city. Thank you very much. I will hand it now back to Derek from the Secret Service.
We will now open the floor up for questions.
Just a reminder, just please lead with your name and outlet, and then we're gonna try to just do one question and get follow-ups later because there's so many. AP?
Sophia with AP. The protesters have indicated that they're in talks to move closer to the United Center. And I don't know who would be the best for that, but where those talks are and approximately where they would be.
Thank you. Tom Carney, Commissioner, Chicago Department of Transportation. One of the functions of our department is to issue permits for use of the public right-of-way. So the City of Chicago and all the partners here today are fully committed to allowing individuals and groups to exercise their First Amendment rights safely. As you referenced, there is litigation in the court, so I can't get into specifics about certain assemblies or protest marches, but I can confirm that we are working in a format through the court to allow demonstrators to protest within sight and sound of the United Center. And as we get those details finalized through the court, we will come back and share those publicly.
Craig up front.
Craig Wally, C7 Chicago. Maybe this goes to Chief Snelling or maybe the Secret Service. I know you sent representatives up to the RNC to observe up there. What was learned from up there, and how will that be applied here for the DNC? And if it's any changes?
Well, what I can tell you is that we saw a lot of great things, and we saw some things that maybe we can apply here. However, the planning that we've been doing here has been great. So right now, are we looking at any major changes? No. But like I said, again, as we go along, we assess situations. We want to make sure that everything is safe. And if at any point or any time we think we need to make some changes for the safety of the city, we will do so. So the partnership, again, has been great. We saw some great things when we were out there, and we see some great things here. And 3 words, we're ready. We are ready.
Follow-up, if we could, about that protesters.
Second row.
Because we saw in Milwaukee.
Sorry, Craig. Shia.
Hi, Shia Pappas from Politico for Superintendent Snelling also. So during the RNC, there was a shooting in Milwaukee outside of the perimeter, but it was done by officers from another state helping with the convention. Are you adjusting how you communicate to officers who are coming from out of state here to help with the DNC?
No, there are no adjustments that need to be made at this time. Basically, here we have outside agencies who are going to come in. Most of them are right here from Illinois, and then we have some from Milwaukee who are coming in. They will be assigned to areas where we need help with infrastructure. They will not be in the neighborhoods. They will not be in areas where we know there's a possibility that they would have to take some type of police action. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't have to where they are. But this will free up our officers, our Chicago police officers, to be in more volatile areas, right? Because this is our city, and our officers are bound by particular rules, regulations, and laws. At the same time, all of those officers who are coming in to the city of Chicago, they will be getting 8 to 12 hours of training on some of our policies, training, and the expectations of our city. So we have a really good plan in place for that, to make sure that they're secure and that our officers are responding to those more volatile situations in the city. I'll just step back just in case.
First row here.
Yes, Diana Latifah, On Air Daily News. I'm not sure which department would handle this, maybe the superintendent, but what kind of physical barriers or markers will there be on the street so that the citizens know what are the parameters around the DNC?
So I'm a visual learner, so I'm going to reference the maps as we kind of talk through this. So in the yellow areas, that is not bound by any type of fencing. There will be a series of street closures that will be well marked for motorists so that they will see those. The red areas will be bound by fencing. Pedestrians will be able to see that. It will be clearly marked. It will be clearly visible. There will be no confusion about what is a restricted area and what is not a restricted area.
First row. Or second, right, Julie.
Superintendent, can you tell us, are there any protest groups that you have not communicated with that you expect will arrive in Chicago to demonstrate?
Well, here's what I can tell you, because it's unpredictable who will arrive here. We're willing to meet with any protest group to have that conversation, to talk about expectations, to explain what it is that we expect of them. Because I think that clear communication gives us an idea of how they can move forward successfully in having their voices heard. And at the same time, it gives us an opportunity to help keep our city safe. And it also allows us to know and understand where we need to deploy resources. So any conversation to be had, we're willing to have those conversations.
Third row on the end.
Good morning, Michelle Gallardo with ABC7. My question is for both Director Tirado and for the Secret Service. You've discussed the desire to minimize impact to both businesses and residents, both on the inner perimeter and in the yellow zone, and the outreach that has already been done. Can you be more specific about what kind of communications have already been had with maybe businesses or resident groups in the area, and what more you expect to be doing between now and the beginning of the convention?
So one of the subcommittees that we set up very early on in this process is our Community Impact Private Sector Subcommittee, and they've been working very diligently since last August on outreach efforts, and there's several prongs and phases to that. But they've held a multitude of outreach events. We've reached over 1,000 organizations throughout this process. In April, the Secret Service partnered with our friends at OEMC, the FBI, the Chicago Police Department, and a multitude of other Chicago agencies, and actually went door-to-door canvassing in the areas, actually a much larger area than what you see depicted on these maps, letting people know that things were coming, that where they could go to get information, deriving them to the OEMC website so that that they understand that that is a trusted source of information and updates. We have attended community meetings where we've answered questions about impacts to bus routes and public transportation. And some of those meetings that we held early on, quite frankly, we have to go back to those groups because we just didn't have the information that they needed at that time. And so we're in a full court press from now until the end of the convention. And this doesn't stop on the 19th. This is a continuing effort through the end of the convention because we owe the residents and the citizens of the city of Chicago that to make sure that their questions are answered, that they have the access to the city services that they need, to prepare them for what type of disruptions or delays that they might expect so that they could adjust their schedules accordingly.
I'm sorry, give me 1 second. So just to touch on the question, right? Jeff did an amazing job, but the reason I'm going to introduce Ivan Capifali is because he's also boots on the ground to get into specifics on how OMC, Secret Service, CPD, Community Engagement for the Mayor's Office has been pushing out this message since April and March. I'm going to bring him up. This is Ivan Capifali, First Deputy for BACP.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And thank you for being here. My name is Ivan Capifali, and I'm the Acting Commissioner for the Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, also known as BACP. BACP in-person canvassing efforts included businesses and residents within the newly announced perimeter and those near the venues. Additionally, BACP set up a phone bank and has been actively reaching out to businesses that were missed during the in-person canvassing. Since April, BACP has reached out to almost 900 businesses around the United Center and nearly 500 businesses near McCormick Place. I want to confirm that BACP will be part of the canvassing efforts that are occurring tomorrow. Additionally, BACP has shared DNC information through emails and our social media pages, engaged with delegate agencies, elected officials, industry partners, and more. We created a frequently asked questions toolkit in collaboration with the Office of Emergency Management and distributed widely. Lastly, BACP has been urging businesses to enroll in Chibis Alerts, which provides vital text and email notifications tailored for the business community. Since launching our outreach efforts in April, we've experienced a 17 growth in business in subscribers to Chibis Alerts, demonstrating the effectiveness of our initiatives. I want to thank our partners and business community and preparing for the convention. Thank you, everyone, for being here today.
And we'll be having an advisory come out later about the canvassing. Mary Ann?
Thank you, Mary Ann Waver from NBC5. In Milwaukee, the mayor provided daily updates at 6:30 a.m. every day, and I'm wondering, Mayor, if you anticipate doing that, or if someone else will be offering sort of an update of what happened so that the media is informed of how everything is going daily?
I don't want to speak for the mayor, but the Secret Service and CPD will do a daily presser. We're still working on that time, but it'll either be in the late morning or the late afternoon.
And do you know where that would be?
We're still working that out. We're hoping to have it at OEMC.
Second row.
Perhaps for the governor or the mayor, with the anticipated.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Just to get back to this question, that will be at OMC. We will have a daily one. We just haven't figured out the time slot yet. But also, just so everyone's aware, we will also, as a city, have internal conversations at 7:30 and 15:30. That's just for informational. So as far as all our city agencies, we communicate with each other on a daily basis, 365 days a year at 7:30 and 15:30. That will not change during the DNC, and it will not change moving forward. In reference to having a daily conversation with the media or a brief out, that'll also be coming out at OMC as well.
Jeff Arnold with News Nation. Perhaps for the governor or for the mayor, with the anticipated uptick in buses coming from the southern border, how do you anticipate handling that, the traffic of new arrivals during the
Well, there's been a very strong partnership between the state of Illinois and the county of Cook to prepare ourselves for that act if it were to take place. We have right now currently roughly 5,600 new arrivals that are still in our shelters. Our collective resources are prepared for as many as 15,000. But we certainly hope that, Governor Abbott finds Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior and don't do that. All right, thank you.
Sir.
Is the Secret Service and the FBI monitoring CPD members who are admitted or alleged member of far-right extremist groups?
Yeah, so we're not going to comment on the existence of any pending investigations, whether they have one or not. What I can tell you is the FBI is committed to the investigation of all individuals relating to possibility of any domestic terrorism relations or any hate crimes or any other civil rights violations.
Second row.
Hi, Governor, you said earlier this week you had not received any vetting materials about possibly being vice president. Is that still true? And can you confirm that the Harris campaign called you yesterday?
The Harris campaign did not call me yesterday. I have had a number of conversations with people I do regularly with the campaign. And as you know, I've been traveling the country to promote the Biden-Harris ticket and now, of course, the Harris led ticket, rather. And so that's what's been going on over the last few days. And as I say, I don't want to talk about any private conversations I've had, but I will say that I have said directly to the vice president that I'm going to do everything and anything that is necessary to make sure that we beat Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, who, like me, doesn't use periods between the. Sorry, some of you will get that. And to make sure that we're communicating across the country the message of hope that comes from a Harris candidacy and her victory in November.
Thank you. And on the vetting materials issue?
Yeah, as I said, I'm not going to talk about any conversations that we've had. I haven't talked to the campaign the way you've described. Just spoke with Vice President Harris.
You interested in being VP?
I think all of you have heard me say that I really have been honored to have been elected twice as governor of the state of Illinois. I really enjoy the work, sometimes very challenging, but always the opportunity to serve the 13 million people of our state. And so, there's not much that would pull me away from that job.
But Governor, you said two things. You said you haven't talked to them and then you did talk to her. So which one is it?
Sorry, I think the question was, had I spoken with him in the last day? Did I get a call? And the answer is no.
I didn't mean this. Yeah. Have you spoken to the Harris campaign?
Well, sure. I don't know anybody who's involved in Democratic politics that isn't talking to the Harris campaign, if you have the opportunity to. So that's the answer. I mean, I'm, as you know, I know people who work on the campaign, and I'm involved in transmitting the message of the campaign. So excited about the next 100 days.
Well, more directly, have you been contacted about becoming vice president?
Again, I'm not going to talk about that. I can tell you that I'm going to campaign. Whatever happens in this process that I understand is going on, my job is to make sure that we win in November. So I'm going to work hard to do that, as I have for, the last year and a half of this campaign.
All right, we're drifting way off topic. Any more questions on the DNC? Whitney?
Superintendent, I just wanted to check back in on the mutual aid question. I think before, when we had a press conference, you were anticipating bringing in maybe ballpark 400 mutual aid officers in the aftermath of the attempted assassination of former President now candidate Donald Trump, as well as the volatility in Washington just yesterday with the Netanyahu visit. Are you expecting to bring in more mutual aid from outside agencies?
Right now, what we've looked at is we've looked at our officers. We've looked at scheduling. around our officers, day off cancellations, extensions of tour, and we have more than 400 coming in. We have upwards of 500 coming in, and we, based on our assessment, we have a very good complement of officers who will be out there. They're highly trained. They will be responding professionally, and we're going to make sure that as we work with our partners and with the partnership that we have along with our federal partners, we will make whatever adjustments we need to make as things change. And as you said, we've seen some things happen during campaigning. If we see some of those things, we will make the adjustment, and we do have the manpower to deal with it.
And just to put a finer point on it, did the increase happen after July 13th, or was that always?
It was already baked in. This is something that we've been looking at, and we've been assessing these situations as we go along. Again, when you're going through a year of planning, that you don't have all the answers when you start planning and you start training. As you move along, as you assess situations, as you look at the changes in venues, things of that nature, then you have to make the changes with it. And we've done that. And we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to make assessments. And if there's something that we think we need more of, we'll make requests for that.
Superintendent, protesters do not stay in the assigned
Okay,
areas.
guys, we have time for one last question. Craig, you've had 3. Right there.
So I think the BAPC person said, you've been in communication with 900 businesses here in the United Center and 500 other public places. You've heard videos. Is that accurate? And if so, is there any Milwaukee, many of the businesses that were in the yellow zone really had no business at all? They were just dead. Is there any plan in place to help some of these businesses once they finish over?
Our first efforts actually included everybody within the perimeter and outside the perimeter.
Louder.
Oh, I'm sorry. Our first canvassing effort included inside the perimeter and outside the perimeter. So we've been in communication with all of them. So what is your question?
For the lost revenue these businesses will likely have, is there any plan in place to compensate after that?
I don't have any information about that right now. We are in communication with our partners, with the federal, state, and local, to see if there's any way that we can find monies for that. But right now, we're not thinking about that. Thank you.
If I can, I was there. Here's the difference, and I know oftentimes we compare cities, and sometimes we're comparing apples and oranges. This is Chicago, right? We're looking at nearly 3 million people in this city. There will be people coming to our city, moving around. We expect a lot more activity here in Chicago. So those expectations is why we're planning around these situations. We do expect businesses to have traffic, because we're expecting traffic all over the city, and we're planning around all of those things.
Okay, everyone, thank you very much. We're going to dismiss our speakers, and I ask that you all hold in your seat. Remember, need an escort out, so thank you. We'll be around if you have any other questions, or you can email us.